All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the WuMao Show. My name is Fernando Munoz Bernal, and my channel is called Fermue. And this is a show where people who have an opinion about China that is a little bit different from the West come and talk about other ideas and other perspectives of what is being talked around in the world with regards to China. In today's show, I'm going to be joined by two people who have been to Xinjiang. If you saw the thumbnail, you probably saw that this whole topic is about our journey to Xinjiang. Me and Noel Lee, we just got back from Xinjiang, but we are also going to be joined by Jerry Gray. Jerry Gray has cycled around Xinjiang or from Xinjiang to other places in China twice. So his perspective and his opinion about what we foreigners experience in Xinjiang when we go there is going to be very valuable. But before I bring my guests in, I would like to remind you that this is going to be heavily relying on your participation, on your live questions. Unfortunately, I've had a technical difficulty, so I won't be able to take phone calls. But we are going to be focusing a lot on the comments, anything that's there and that you want to share with us or ask. We will try to address it in the order that they come in. Also, some people from the WuMao Show have been invited, but I don't know how available they are. If they have any questions that they would like to address to the panel, to the group of people who have been to Xinjiang. All right. I would like to start this show by reminding you that we, when we talk about China from this positive perspective, we actually don't get pushed too much by YouTube. So the income that we're getting is relatively low, me particularly. I'm asking you to, if you want to support our show, the work that we're doing here in this group, you can click the link in the description down below to buy me a cup of coffee, or you can use this QR code right here to support the WuMao Show. Any contribution, any support will be very much appreciated. Okay, and I would like to start the show by showing a short clip that Noel shot and edited already from the gigabytes and gigabytes of content that he has produced. We should. I brought about 1.5 terabytes of footage. So he put together this little montage of 2 minutes. So I would like us to warm up today's conversation by looking at that video. And if you don't know it, Noel's link is in the description down below. He has a brand new channel, his own personal channel, where he's going to talk about his experiences in China. So if you like the content that he's making, make sure to go subscribe to his channel. Without further ado, let's watch his clip. Here he goes.
Oksijen maskesi 5 yılın üstteki tahta içeri saklanan olup ciddi ihmal yüz verdi.
Responsibility. Cumhur Halk Cumhuriyeti'nin amanlık işleri boyunca cezalaş kanun ve Cumhur Halk Aviasyası bexatarlikni qo'llash nizomidagi
For you and other passengers' safety, please cooperate with us. Thank you.
To promoting. Actually, on a real flight, it's not a green screen. You can check it out. Real flight. We just heard the announcement on the EPA system, whereby we are having the announcement in English, Mandarin, as well as the legal language. The flight that we're in. It's a morning flight, and everybody's basically just taking a nap. No, we're not intoxicated. We're taking a nap. So
欢迎来到乌鲁木齐。
All right, guys, that was a short clip. I'm looking at some of the questions that you guys have asked. Let's bring then our guest first in Caliber Wings, and then we got Jerry Greg Caliber. You got Noel. You have your mic muted. Let me.
Hey, Fernando. Yeah. Good
Good
evening.
evening. How are you, gentlemen?
Very good, thank you.
Good, good. Well, we started this discussion asking people to ask us some questions. We're gonna answer as many questions as we can. Some will be silly, some will be not. The first question that was asked was a little bit silly. I'm gonna show it here on screen. It says, "Is it true that you were not allowed in Uyghur?" Uyghur is not a place.
It's a place now.
Yeah. But you faked the whole Xinjiang trip in the studio in Shenzhen. No.
Yeah,
No,
no.
I don't know if you're joking, MP12, but if you're not, let me answer right away. No, we actually did go there. Okay. Let's see. Zip has a question, Mr. Zip Glickman, another interesting channel. How do you like your favorite food, the Jiang Rochuan? Ooh, who wants to go first?
Yeah, it's fantastic. The lamb skewers in Xinjiang is especially tender. I think it's very fresh. So that's a thumbs up for me.
Yeah, it's usually pretty fresh. It's cut straight off the bone of the leg usually. So yeah, it's pretty fresh.
I like Jiang Rochuan. It's one of my favorite foods. I never tried lamb before in my life before I came to China. And when I tasted it, I was like, what is this? This is sorcery. This is so good. But here in the South, we don't get it that juicy, and particularly the servings. That's what's impressive
They're
to me.
smaller in the south. That's
There's
the
degree
important
smaller
thing.
because probably
Yeah.
it's more expensive. I don't know.
I
But
think
over
so.
there, huge. Okay, somebody's asking me if I can raise my sound a bit. I could, but I have to get up. So give me 1 second. I could. Let me know how that works.
Yeah, that's better.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah, it's good.
All right. So Yana Rochuan, talking about foods, Noel, and you, Jerry, did you guys try anything else that was interesting over there?
One of the most famous dishes out of Xinjiang is their da panji. It's a big plate of chicken. Literally, that's what it is. Da panji, big plate of chicken. And it's very spicy. It comes with noodles in the bottom, or sometimes it's so big they can't fit the noodles in, and they wait till you've eaten half of it and then bring you the noodles. It's absolutely amazing. So if anybody gets an opportunity to try that, and you can get it in most Muslim restaurants, the halal restaurants that are all around China, you can pick up this da panji. Do yourself a favor and try that.
Yeah, we had them here in Dongguan as well.
Yeah.
And here they serve them with potatoes. I don't know. I mean, I
Yep.
didn't try that panji over there because it's the land of Yan Rochuan, so that's what I ate pretty much every day. You guys forced me to eat something else a couple of times, but I mean, just Yan Rochuan.
And your
You want
yogurts. You ate your yogurts too.
Ooh, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Mm.
Somebody was asking Jake Jones, what was your favorite new food? I don't think I tried anything new. Did you guys try anything new when you were in Xinjiang?
Well, I think to
Buns.
be honest, we
Bun-
were. Yeah, I think to be honest, we were so busy doing the job that we actually didn't have food as a priority for our expedition, isn't it? We were so busy
Yeah.
with security, with tests, and getting around. Food was the least of our concern.
One of the things you can do if you go out in the mornings quite early, just take a walk around, and the street sellers are selling these buns. They're not really buns. They're like a jiaozi, like a dumpling, stuffed with meat or stuffed with vegetables. They're something that I hadn't tried until I went there. And also in Inner Mongolia, you can find the same or similar things. Not quite the same, very similar. I'm not sure what they're called though.
I don't remember trying anything new, as I just said, but we did see a lot of food that I'd never seen before. And I've been in China 20 years. Were those testicles?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, lamb testicles.
Lamb.
Yeah,
Okay.
lamb.
The, have you tried those, Jerry?
No.
Nope. No interest.
I guess if I was in a family party and someone handed me one, I'd be polite, but
Yeah.
it's not something I really want to try.
You know.
I've eaten all kinds of things to be polite, but yeah,
Yeah, I tried camel hoof once.
not
But
much
again,
meat on that.
it was my first wedding dinner with my ex-wife. She was from Beijing, and they served, and I'm like, I'm paying for this. It was horrible. All right.
We,
So
we had
start-
crocodile at my Chinese wedding.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, crocodile. I've
it's
had
actually-
crocodile too.
It's actually quite nice.
MP12 says that he's joking, of course.
was.
Yeah, kind of like we thought he was joking. All right. Where is another? Do you see any other question that you want to bring in, Noel?
So far there's no questions I'm seeing. It's all like statements. So guys, you got to
Did you
ask some
try- did
questions
you-
if you want.
Did you try lamb brains? Was a question there.
Oh,
It's just
Yeah, I
disappeared
think
off my
so.
screen.
no, we didn't try lamb brains. We had very standard food. We had some rice with lamb. We had some noodles with lamb. We had some soup with rice and lamb. you get
Everything's
the
with
idea.
lamb.
You get the
Which
idea.
is why the dapanji is so popular, because you just get fed up with the lamb. It's delicious, but every day, then you go for the dapanji.
Okay. I'm sure people are interested in all kinds of topics, from food to scenery to safety and to the real situation. So why don't we start with Jake Jones, who's asking, do Uyghurs occupy most public job posts?
It depends
Well-
on where we are, right?
Yeah, I would say that I saw most of the police were probably Uyghur. A lot of the police, a good 60 or 70% of the police that we interacted with were Uyghur. But then that's the extent of officials or public job.
The roads the park sweepers were Uyghurs that we saw in the park.
Yeah.
Public jobs.
Yeah.
So taxis,
Taxi
Uyghurs.
drivers,
Yeah,
all taxi drivers, I think. Yeah.
yeah. So
In the airport, I remember going through security in the airport and security in our hotel. Lots of Uyghurs. They're doing public jobs, but when you talk about public positions, you need to go into a government office and say how many of you are Uyghurs. I don't think any of us have done that. But yeah, they're certainly very, very prominent in your day-to-day life. You see them, particularly outside of Urumqi. Once you get outside of
Yes,
Urumqi,
exactly.
that's pretty much all you see.
All right. Let's go into the next question. I'm going to pull myself
I like
out
this
1 second.
question.
You guys answer this question. I'm gonna get back in a second.
Okay.
Okay.
So how safe is China for foreigners? Jerry, you go ahead.
Okay, because I don't look Chinese and you do.
Yeah.
I would say I've traveled to about 50 countries. I've lived in 3 now. This is the safest place I've ever been. Now, people say surveillance state, everybody's being watched. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But it's no different. I think the only difference between the surveillance state here and the surveillance state of London, for example, is that here it's quite openly talked about. You are being monitored everywhere you go. And it is totally safe. I have been robbed once. It happened in 2005. I was drunk walking home from a bar, and I'd been flashing the cash around, and it was basically my own stupid fault. If you
That's
don't do
great.
anything, well, if you don't do anything stupid, nothing stupid will happen to you. And I think that's the bottom line. I'm quite comfortable walking home late at night. I live in an alley, basically. It's very, very safe. That's the answer. Very safe.
To add
I
on to
think
that-
sorry, go, Caleb.
Yeah, to add on to that, in last week's show, Mario mentioned that many foreigners are now dying to come to China. So that's how safe China is for foreigners.
I'd agree with that.
I wanted to say something. Safety in China has improved. It's gotten better and better and better. when I first got here, I remember I was pickpocketed 3 times in a matter of like 2 weeks, and I was
Oh,
living in Shenzhen. Um, and it
near
was,
Lowu.
yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
that's pretty lawless. It used to be pretty lawless, that area.
And
That's the
it's one
border
of
of
the
Hong Kong.
things. It's one of the things that actually got me a little bit upset about Shenzhen. I said I don't want to be here. I mean, um, that together with the disparity on incomes, you had people who were just going through trash cans and people driving Rolls Royces and Bentleys and whatnot, and that was that stark contrast didn't sit well with me. On top of well being pickpocketed a couple of times, but ever since I came to my city. Um, I think the only thing that happened to me, there's only two things that have happened to me. One, somebody broke a window in my car because they wanted to get a computer that I left inside the car. Um, I heard it, ran after them. They grabbed the computer, and nothing happened. And the other one, somebody stole a bicycle. That's the extent of it. But and I would like to address a discussion that I was having with somebody on Twitter when I was talking about how safe I felt. I feel in China how safe I felt in Xinjiang. Um, and somebody said like, "Oh, you don't know danger until you've lived it." I said like, "Woman, I'm Colombian. You have no idea what, what I've experienced." So yeah, that's those are the few things that have happened to me. Noel, have you ever feel I don't know threatened or
Like I said, the only time I've ever felt anything different from absolute safety is in our Xinjiang trip, where I actually felt a little bit intimidated by the security. But after going through it and looking back, it was for my own safety actually. The irony,
I
yeah.
think I would like to go a little bit into something that we discussed a lot because we wanted to shoot videos, right? That's what we went there to do. And the issue with that was we knew how people felt about foreigners with cameras. Immediately they think, oh, these are journalists or these are reporters or so we didn't want to attract much attention. So we were kind of like trying to avoid being seen either by police or by people. We didn't want to draw too much attention to ourselves. So we were walking a little bit like criminals would, right? Like, oh, there's a camera there. No, we can't shoot it. There's a
Furtively.
camera there. You know what I mean? Trying to. We weren't doing anything illegal. It's not illegal to shoot. Let me be very clear. It's just that they would probably interrupt you, stop you, and ask you to not do it. We were not breaking the law. It's just that we didn't want to waste the time, and that's why we were looking for spots where there were blind spots where we could shoot. And in that sense, yeah, that added a little bit of pressure because we're like, oh, we were on borrowed time. You know what I mean? We had to take a flight next morning, so we need to shoot this now. That was my feeling. Um, okay. Do you guys have any other comment, or do we go to another question?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go ahead.
Okay. So the next one is, how much time did you guys spend on security things before you can start making the videos? Well, depends, right, Noel?
Well,
The
most of our shooting does not involve security,
yeah.
right? We were shooting without any security influence or any police that's around us. So we were shooting on our own time. When we were in the ancient city, we were in the night market, right? We were looking for spots for you to do your B-roll. So yeah, we were basically just going with the flow, and there was absolutely no problem at all. Even that the first day where we were actually waiting for the bus to go to the railway station, and that was when I was still kind of a freshman in Xinjiang, taking my camera and just vlogging around. So after I did that, the policeman came over and said, "What are you guys doing?" Right? Remember that?
Mm,
And we
yeah.
explained to him that we're just doing some vlogging, and he said, "Okay." Right? The young chap, the young
The young guy, yeah.
policeman.
The young guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's not that how to and there was another thing because if you're vlogging with a small camera, it's kind of okay. But if you got like a bigger rig and you got like a little matte box, and it's like
Yeah.
this looks a little bit more, again, more professional. Maybe catches.
There's the answer. Get one of
Ah.
these. No,
Why
nobody
not?
knows it's a camera.
Yeah, I got it too.
Yeah, but you don't have the waterproof case for bike riding.
Gee.
Yeah. This is actually for underwater, but it works very well for. I've got the bracket mount on the bike, and it sits on the handlebars of my bike. So yeah, it's very useful because people don't realize they're being videoed at all, or videoed or
Um, I
photographed.
don't. I know that nobody's asking yet, but I want to show you one piece of gear that really I thought would be very, very important. This is a portable hard drive, 2 terabytes. But the great thing is that you can actually pop in your memory card here, and it will automatically download all the pictures.
Oh,
So I
I
was
want one
thinking,
of those.
if for any reason we get stopped and they say like, "Hey, delete your pictures," right? I would only lose whatever I hadn't saved here, and every time I finish shooting something, put the cards in here. Takes a couple of minutes, and that's it.
Can
This
I
is
comment on that? Can I comment on that, Fernando?
sure.
I was writing an article a few months ago about the BBC John Sudworth situation in Xinjiang. And I spoke, the guy who commissioned me to write the article was a senior editor of a Guangzhou, you know him actually, senior editor of a Guangzhou newspaper. And he asked me if I could write something about what the BBC was saying about the tainted cotton just back in December. And I watched it, and I watched it several times actually in order to really get a good response to it. And one of the things I was surprised about was that he had the footage still. And I asked this editor, why do you think the police didn't just take his memory card? Why didn't they ask him to delete that? And his answer was very simple. He said, well, that would be illegal. Now, that's a guy in Guangzhou who works for a journalist company, journalism. He works in journalism. And he's telling me that you can take pictures of anything you want, and the police cannot legally ask you to delete it or take it from you, even if you're doing this illegally. That's a really interesting situation. And it's borne out by the fact that the BBC actually have footage of the police telling them not to film here, but the police didn't stop them, or they did stop them because they were doing it in a public place into a private place, and that was the reason they were stopped. But there was nobody ever said, you can't take that film or that image away from here. They were allowed to leave quite safely and securely with their images intact. And nobody
I'd
asked
like to-
you.
I'd like to add to that is on the morning when we were in Kashgar's railway station, and I was flashing my flashlight around, the police officer actually told me to delete what I was filming, but he didn't follow
okay.
through. He didn't follow through to ensure that I deleted anything. So that was the good thing.
Okay.
You see, so although they
he
may
didn't
say
follow through because his request wasn't legal.
you see, so although he did mention it, but he didn't actually follow through. So in that sense, we can actually dispel at the moment from our experience any claims that the police would actually be telling us to grab our phones and deleting stuff. So nothing of that happened. No police took our phones. Even when we were checked, they never handled our phones. They never handle our anything. They would just handle our passport. That's all.
That's all the things that are in your heads. I mean, the reason why I got this thing, and the reason why I thought like, okay, should I delete my VPN? Should I delete my Twitter from my phone? So like, it's all this fear that we are fed through the media, and you go there and nothing takes place. Nothing happens. It's not real. So I gotta thank you, because you were the one who actually told me, hey, don't worry about it. It's just what they want you to feel. But still, inside of me, I had like, how can I be safe? How can I save the work that we're going to do that? That's why I got this thing. But all right, let's move on. We're gonna get back to security, I'm sure. But here's the Glicksman question: did you go into any mosque? I personally didn't go into any mosque. My wife did go into a mosque. Did you, Noel?
No, I didn't go into a mosque.
Jerry?
Nope. I'm a
Um,
Christian. Not a very good one, but no, I've never actually. The very interesting thing about me is when I was in Xinjiang, each time I've been to Xinjiang, I was not there about this issue. And it wasn't until I came home from Xinjiang that people started to tell me you can't go to Xinjiang, and that's how I got into this position where I'm kind of a spokesperson for Xinjiang, because I just said, well, that's not true. You can go to Xinjiang. Had I gone there now after being involved in all this, I would have an entirely different perception, and I would go into mosques and I would film people in mosques if it was permissible, of course. But that's a respect thing, not a law thing. And I think that if I wasn't a cyclist who went to Xinjiang, I would have come back with an entirely different set of photographs. What I've got is a load of pictures of me and my wife and friend on bikes. And we didn't really think about the political situation. And so I never went into a mosque. I've been into mosques in China. I've been into the Xi'an Mosque. It's beautiful. I've been into the Guangzhou Mosque, which is, I think, older than the Xi'an Mosque and is also beautiful, but it's more of a Chinese style mosque than a what I would call an Arabic style. But yeah, I've been into mosques, but not in Xinjiang.
I wanted to ask you a question to you, the whole panel, because I want to address questions that haters are asking. Some people are talking, oh, what about the mosques that are being demolished? What about the mosques that are being torn down? And here's what I have to say. I didn't see any mosques torn down.
No.
I did see in Shanghai and also in Xinjiang mosques that look relatively new. But what I did see from a different religion was what you sent us when we were talking about the right of worship here in China.
Mm.
That church that had been closed down and a brand new one built 100, 200 meters from it.
Yes, less than that,
Wow.
50 meters even. I mean,
So
it's a great indicator that, I mean, if you're going to persecute religion and then pretend you're not persecuting religion, that's okay. A country might choose to do that, but they would not spend literally millions of RMB or allow the religion to spend millions of RMB building a new church or a new mosque. And it's a fact, there are new mosques all over China. And there are new churches all over China. Just around the corner from my own home, there's a church which is, they knocked down the old church and rebuilt it. We thought when they knocked it down, the first thing we thought was, oh, here we go. No, they've knocked it down in order to rebuild it. Simple as that. And it's now bigger, more beautiful. So it's still there.
I would like to take a second before I get back to this particular topic of rebuilding stuff. Journey to the East sent a super chat. Thank you very much. Says, guys, planning to visit China soon once it's totally open, but just want to ask how easy is it is to access those cities and start taking some pictures and some videos.
Absolutely easy.
Yeah.
No restrictions at all.
Yep,
There
no
are restrictions to go to Lhasa, to go to Tibet, but not a restriction as such. You just need a certain pass. You need to go in a group. But in
And
terms of
people always go
Xinjiang,
like, oh, you need a pass to go to Lhasa. Look, I've lived here long enough to remember when you needed a pass to go to Shenzhen.
yes, or Zhuhai. That's right.
Yeah, you needed a pass to go to Shenzhen, and nobody goes, yeah, you needed a pass to go to Shenzhen. And little by little, things change and things modernize. Let's go to another question because there's quite a few questions here. I like this one very. Hey, Journey, thank you so very much. This one by I Know You. How many times did you get checked by the police each day? A lot of times. A lot of times. Particularly in Hotan. In Hotan, when we hired the driver and we told her we want to see, what was it, Noel? We wanted to see farmers or countryside. And
Can
and
I-
we
can
thought we want to see the cotton plant.
Yeah, I think. Can I interject?
Sure.
I think I will answer this question this way, because perhaps you might give the wrong impression that we are being checked by police on the street. But no, when we're on the street, no police approached us to check anything. It was only because we were entering a certain area where they have already set up gantries, and these gantries check anybody who's going in, not just us.
It's a very good point. They weren't
Yeah.
checking us; they were checking everybody. It's like it's a checkpoint.
Yes.
I mean, you're going to go.
It's actually
into-
more of a pain in the butt for us because we have to show passports and be manually checked. The locals go through in seconds, literally through a turnstile, facial recognition, beep, swipe, gone, and we
Yes.
have to go through and sit down and have our passports checked.
Right.
In my case, I know you as a great follower of mine on Twitter as well. So I'd like to answer this from our perspective on bikes. Every time you enter a new town, then you go through a check and your passport. You're off the bike for 20 minutes. But every time we did it, it was very polite. Quite often they would give us water. Sometimes they'd give us fruit. Sometimes they'd give us water and fruit, and sometimes pose for photographs with us because they thought we were madmen, 3 people crossing the Taklamakan Desert on bikes. So yeah, it's there and it's happening, but it's very polite, just very firm.
I don't know. Whenever I see terrain like that, like from the plane, you see that kind of terrain. I'm like, what would it be like to go across those ridges? What would it be like to just and you cycle through those? I'm like insane, man. That was
Yeah.
one of my first tweets, right? Like rough terrain
Yeah.
builds tough people.
And I think I replied, you should try cycling it.
And to add to Jerry's point, he was getting fruits and drinks because it was pre-COVID, I think. I don't think
Oh,
now
yes.
we can get fruits and drinks.
Probably not. That's very true. It was 2019.
Okay, let's answer this next question. Was all the food in Xinjiang halal?
No.
I didn't ask, but I did see a lot of halal food.
Well, we had
Yes.
Vietnamese,
Plain.
right?
Yeah, that probably was not halal, but
Yeah.
but
You went all the way to Xinjiang for Vietnamese food.
No, it was not.
this guy.
It was because we were hungry and we were exhausted and we just needed food, and whatever that we saw that the wife agreed we can go have it.
You're cutting
somebody,
her the wife the way I do.
You wanted
wife.
Burger King, right? Right. I would be happy with Burger King, right?
Here we are, a Burger King.
So
I think Burger King probably should be sanctioned for employing underage Uyghurs or something. That's just a joke. The question you got there about Xinjiang all halal food, there are 10 million Han Chinese people approximately living inside of Xinjiang. So there are Chinese restaurants and there are Hunan restaurants, Sichuan restaurants. And adding to an earlier question that I saw, is it possible to get vegetarian food? The answer to that is really not. It's very difficult anywhere in China to get vegetarian food. But if you are a vegetarian and you're thinking of coming to China, learn how to say, I am a Buddhist, and then you'll get vegetarian food. They won't, because normally if they stir fry vegetables, they stir fry with pork to give it a bit of flavor. So you've got to ask them and tell them. If you tell them you're a Buddhist, then they will give you vegetarian food.
Yeah,
or
or
vegetables.
stick to salads or something like that, because there's a lot of vegetables. I mean, Chinese consume a lot of vegetables, but it's
Yes,
just
they do.
can-
They often cook them with little pieces of pork or meat in there.
I think Daniel Lai is asking a question that we already answered. You see,
Yeah,
feel safe
it's
to
very
watch?
safe. Very safe.
Go watch the
In
video. that I
in
just put out.
Xinjiang and in I live in Zhongshan. You guys live in Dong. Noel, you're in Shenzhen, right?
Yeah, Noel is in Xinjiang.
yes, I mean
Yeah.
Shenzhen,
So we've got
yes.
3 different cities. It's safe.
Arthur Larson is asking, how was the cellular? Any 5G? Spotty. I
Yes.
mean, we had 5G in the city, but the moment you start going away from the city, yeah, you drop to 4G. For
Here's a
example,
question though: did you find it dropped out anywhere?
Yes,
I
during
was
the
never
train,
out of-
right? During the
Ah,
train,
okay,
we
okay.
don't know
on
where we
trains
were.
it
Right?
does.
So
On trains
yeah.
it does. Yes, yeah.
On the trains, it does,
we
yeah.
we cycled across Xinjiang and Gansu, 2 massive provinces, and there was one place where we didn't have a signal. One place, and we're talking about 25 days of cycling here. There was one spot when we camped under the road, and in order to get a signal, we had to go out from our culvert and then climb up the embankment to the road to get the signal again. That was the only time we didn't have signal in about 25 days of cycling.
I actually felt that the signal was quite okay when I was in Shanghai. I did lose signal a couple of times, but most of the time I would have at least 4G. And here in Xinjiang, it was pretty much 4G all the time, and in the cities, like in urban areas, you would have 5G, no problem. Let me go to another question. Do the women full cover up on hijab or burqa? Um,
No,
I didn't see.
No.
no, they don't. There's a reason for it, and that's facial recognition.
Hmm.
The hijab is not allowed. They do wear headscarves, and the scarves are allowed to come around here, but the whole face needs to be shown. And I think they made that a law back in, I think, 2013, in order to introduce facial recognition. And this is part of the reason why the men aren't allowed the full face beard as well. It
Well,
interferes with facial recognition.
we were interviewing a gentleman here in Dongguan who works on AI, and he was telling that initially it was a bit of an issue to read
Mm.
the face with beards, but it's
Mm.
gotten so much more sophisticated that now they can read many more parts of the face and still
Yes.
recognize it, even with a beard. So, but yeah, a full cover that wouldn't really work. Um, but no, I don't remember seeing even when I lived in Xi'an back in the year 2000. I don't remember seeing full face cover.
No.
Mm.
No, in
Even
fact,
in Gansu, Ningxia, where there's a lot of Hui Muslims, they don't. They wear a head covering and a scarf. The ladies wear a scarf. The men wear like a white cloth head covering or a cap. And I'm not sure the name of that. There's obviously a proper name for it, but yeah, they don't wear a full hijab or burqa anywhere
yeah,
in
in
China.
fact, in our upcoming videos, I believe we have shot many footage where we have the camera has seen people on the streets, and that should
Mm.
be the proof that you don't have women in a hijab or burqa. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Should we move to another question? What's the best place to visit in Urumqi as a tourist?
I actually don't know.
Depends on
Everybody goes to Da Bazaar, which is it's a necessary place to visit. I think it's a huge mosque and great marketplace nearby. Really good.
um,
Not sure of any other places that are in outside of Urumqi. It's where
Right.
you
this
go.
I would like to
beautiful
add.
lake.
I'd like to add to let the viewers know in case they, I'm sure people don't know is that when we are going to all these tabaja, which is the bazaar, and
Mm.
other areas whereby it's more enclosed, there is always just one point of entry and one point
Secure.
of exit.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is not as if you can go in from all sides. So there's only one point, and you have to take off your mask for facial recognition, and then you have to put your bags through an X-ray, and
Mm.
only then can you go in. And I liken it to entering a amusement park like Disneyland. You go through the same procedure at a certain one point of entrance, and that's for the safety of everybody. And that's what is what I noticed in Xinjiang area that has all these security in place.
Um,
Yeah, it
I
is secure.
I want to bring a question here because yeah, what's the best place to visit in Urumqi as a tourist? Look, there's a beautiful lake which we didn't get to because we were there just to shoot videos and do what we needed to do. But I heard it's absolutely beautiful. There is a ski resort, obviously in winter. Um, TripAdvisor is your friend, my friend.
Yeah,
True
there's lots of
advisor, yeah.
places. But also, if you're gonna go to Xinjiang, don't spend your time in Urumqi. It's just another city. You get
Yes.
out of Urumqi to Turpan, Harmi, Kashgar, Hotan.
Yeah.
Hotan is famous for the jade. Did you get to buy any jade while you were there?
We saw Jade. We thought of you, but if I go in there with the wife,
Oh yeah,
If it wasn't for Fernando's insistence to go to the fields of cotton, we would have
Oh, okay.
gotten your jade. Yeah, I suggested to go to the jade place to get a few clips for you.
Okay, thank you.
mea culpa, Jerry.
That's okay. You're forgiven. You only had 3 days there.
All
Let's
right, let
be
me
honest,
bring
it's a bit of a rush.
this next question right here. Anyone notice the Western media has gone quiet with the Xinjiang genocide forced labor accusation lately?
Yeah, it's a good
Um,
question
Uh, it
because it's
seems
been
like
debunked.
and it's now going into this daily, was it Daily Mail, Daily Beast, Daily something, that went on with, now they're jailing Christians, is it? You saw that on Twitter?
I don't know.
No.
They posted something on Twitter about jailing Christians, and I'm like, okay, here we go.
Oh, I did see that. They're jailing Christians and torturing them to give up their faith. Yeah.
Oh,
You commented on
I
that.
thought
too.
that I thought that was a parody. I didn't realize.
yeah, that was a
Is that
joke.
serious?
That was a joke. Yeah.
It's gotta be a
It-
joke, man. Come on.
Got to
It's
be a joke.
Yeah.
Got to be a joke. It's got to be a
Okay.
joke.
Let's go down. See. Okay.
Can I bring in a question while you're looking?
Yes, yes.
Malcolm McGregor, that man in the pub, asked me this question earlier on today, and he said, "Can I raise it?" There's been no press coverage whatsoever of the 30 representatives of 21 different countries who went to Xinjiang around about the same time you were there, just a week or so ago. They went there for several days. They went to the mosque. They went to a Christian church. They did a whole heap of tours and visits, and all came away with a positive feeling about it. Why do you think that's not getting into the Western press?
Look, because it just destroys the narrative. That's the
Isn't that
thing.
right? Yeah.
If somebody is out there saying like, look, this is okay, this is fine, then what are they going to say?
Well,
either they're
there was a
lying
little
or
bit of
they're
talk today on the ABC. The ABC in Australia has gone berserk today. It's gone crazy with Xinjiang genocide and the narrative there. And Sophie McNeil of the Human Rights Watch has been on television, very breathless, talking about how terrible everything is there. Now, the other thing is, every single day I'm seeing this, the Chinese government is saying, come and have a look. But the Human Rights Watch people are saying, well, we don't want to come and have a look because you won't let us see what we want to see. Well, come and have a look and see what you want to see is the answer. So when people do come and have a look, because they happen to be from Russia or from Iran, they are disregarded. When people are invited to come and have a look, they say, we're not coming. So how important is this genocide with up to 3 million or 8 million or 11 million Uyghurs in prison to the Human Rights Watch people if they're saying, well, we're not coming to have a look because you're not going to let us see? That I noticed some of your photographs had people playing in the street, dancing, singing. You had weddings and all kinds of things going on. I saw some of those photographs. And the fact is that wouldn't happen in a place where there is wildly oppressed people. If there's a genocide going on, if there's a mass incarceration going on, you won't see people dancing in the street. You'd see them moping around, trying to keep their eyes to the ground and hiding from officialdom, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So the whole thing to me seems to be a bit of a furphy. The human rights people won't come. The people who do come won't get believed. So it's all about a narrative, isn't it?
Agree.
I agree with you, and I remember when we interviewed you, Jerry, for the, of course,
Yeah.
China podcast. Ziv had a point. The fact that we don't see genocide doesn't mean that it's not taking place.
Agreed.
He has that perspective, but at the same time, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, if something as horrible as genocide is taking place, you don't see the cheerfulness, you don't see the bubbly personalities and the bubbly activities of daily life.
There are about 11 million or 12 million Uyghurs. If, as has been alleged, there are 3 million incarcerated, that probably indicates that every single family, because they all have massive big families, don't they? Every single family is going to have somebody in prison incarcerated. Where are those prisons? And why are those people dancing in the streets in the evenings? Why are they going to weddings and being very happy when someone's incarcerated and they're afraid of contacting their family and friends? I mean, this thing, it's true. People say to me, well, you only cycled across one road. You couldn't possibly have seen concentration camps. Well, that's fair comment.
Yeah,
I didn't
fair
see
comment.
a concentration camp. And it is a fair comment because it's a huge place. But the very fact that I saw people behaving normally, psychologically, you wouldn't behave normally if you had family members incarcerated, being tortured, being sterilized. It just wouldn't happen. And that's my view on this. It couldn't happen in an environment of oppression to find all those people having happy days. Could you?
Jerry, I want to ask you a question. I don't know if you're okay with me asking you so. Do you mind
Oh,
talking about your previous job experience? I would like to ask you a
uh,
question about that.
I don't mind. How far back do you want me to go?
Um, no, because
All the way.
you just mentioned concentration camps, and
Yes.
here's the thing: when people talk about concentration camps, that is, people are using language specifically designed to create a response in the listener.
Yes.
When What's the difference between a concentration camp and a prison? And that's my question to you.
A prison is a place of incarceration. A concentration camp is a mass incarceration. Now, in a prison, you'd have 1 or 2 people to a cell. In a concentration camp, you might have 400 to a bunk. The way that the concentration is exactly what it means. You concentrate the people of one particular group. Now, in terms of my background, when I was 18 years old until 28, I was a police officer in the UK, 5 years in central London and 5 years just to the east of London. Then I went to Australia and I worked in the security industry. Part of my time in the security industry was designing access control and closed circuit television for prisons. So, yeah, I know what a prison looks like. I do. I've been in many prisons in both countries.
In my opinion, structurally speaking, talking about ASPI and Satellite Boy, wouldn't they look about the same?
You would
If you
definitely
look at
see
them from
watchtowers. You would need to see watchtowers. You would need to see high fencing. The thing is, what does a watchtower look like? Because in that area, it's desert, and could a watchtower be mistaken for a water container, a water tower? This is the thing that I'm not sure about. And I mean, we cycle through. I noticed I got a question there from I Know You. Did Satellite Boy give me coordinates? Yes, he did. And I've got those coordinates of places, but I haven't had an opportunity to use them yet. Yes, there are definitely going to be prisons in Xinjiang. That's the other thing. And I'm quite certain Satellite Boy has identified some of them. He says, here's a place that's got 10-foot fences or 20-foot fences and 30-foot watchtowers. Yeah, it's quite likely that's a prison. Of course it's a prison. Is there not a prison in Canberra where he lives? Is there a prison in... Yes, there are. There are prisons in every city, in every country in the world. I was going to say every world there. But yeah, there are prisons everywhere. And it's not a surprise that Satellite Boy can find a prison or 2 or 3. Because it's a big place with a lot of people, 25 million people in the province. Now, London's got 8 million people, and I think it's got 5 prisons. Sydney's got 3 prisons. Brisbane's got 2 prisons, and only 3 million people live there. Now, these are cities that I know and prisons that I've worked in. And so you go to America, you've got, I don't know how many prisons, 1,700 and something federal prisons, and then tens of thousands of state prisons, literally tens of thousands of prisons and 23 or 2.3 million people in them. So, you can't say that there's a prison ideology in Xinjiang. There's not.
I thought to myself, and Noel, you can pitch in if you want to, that when the difference between a concentration camp and a prison structurally might not be too much. It's just what takes place inside. How can you see that from a satellite? How can you see what is taking place inside? And here's another point. When you use the word concentration camp, you immediately bring memories of the Nazis. And those people who went to concentration camps were going in there not to come out. So
Yes.
that's a big
Well,
difference here.
the British invented concentration camps. I don't think many people realize that. They invented concentration camps during the Boer War, when there were the men of the Afrikaans were fighting the British soldiers the British soldiers decided that the best way to handle this was to lock up all the women and children in concentration camps. They concentrated them in one point. So the British invented them, and the idea of a concentration camp is not necessarily to it's not what you're talking about is an extermination camp when they're not coming out, which is what the Germans eventually did. But the first form of concentration camp was really just a seclusion in order to make the people they were fighting a lot less vicious. In fact, it worked the other way because they became more vicious. And Siv Glickman, yes. The answer is yes.
Actually, I need to highlight
Ziv.
a question by Mario that I can't find now in the chat. He's asking about
Mario.
how did the Han Chinese and the Uyghurs go about daily lives working together. So I think what we saw was that there was no sign of them not being together. I think it's like normal, right? Apart from that one incident in the railway station where it's obvious that it's a isolated case whereby the guy, a Han Chinese, was directed at the Uyghur people that so-called cut the queue, and he was kind of annoyed, So would he have been as annoyed if the person cutting the queue was also a Han Chinese? We don't know.
No, yeah, I mean, but basically,
Happens every train station in China.
Oh, not in these places. Not in these places. They are extremely strict with the queues, and that surprised me. I talked about that last night.
I actually caught a clip of the what you mentioned about the policeman at the station. I got a clip of that. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Well, guys,
stay tuned.
We are hitting 244 viewers, so if you guys are so kind and hit the like button, it would really kick the algorithm and start some good things for the channel and the show. So make sure to hit the like button before you go, and remember that super chats are answered. We give them priority. Let's go into other questions. Did you here we go. Mario Cavallo, did you visit any nearby cotton fields outside the city?
Almost. That's where our story came, right?
That was our intent.
Yeah, go ahead. The story. Yeah.
We went there, and we got to a point where they told us, in this town, regulation is this: foreigners need to take a test, and that would take 2 to 3 hours. And it's already 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we still had other things to do. So we made a decision, turn around, and go back to the city.
I've been to cotton fields in Xinjiang, but it was in 2014.
Yeah.
So right now
there are thousands of cotton fields. I mean, literally, when you leave Urumqi and travel west for about 600 kilometers, that's all you see: cotton fields. It's huge.
There's a YouTuber right now picking cotton over there. He went with
I saw that. Yeah.
With XINJIAN Ras. He's a big YouTuber. Well, this is what we wanted to do. I mean, when I started talking to people, telling them that I wanted to go to Xinjiang, like, look, we can help you organize something. And I'm like, I don't want you to help me. I want to go by myself. I want to do this. I want to see what it would be like to just do it solo. So I knew there will be instances where just my blah 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 would not work. You know what I mean? And that's what happens when we went to the cotton fields. It just
didn't work. Yeah,
didn't work.
In addition to what happened at the checkpoint, the police officer, he was actually very courteous. He was advising us that let's not waste our time. He's telling us, please consider to just don't push it. Just go. And then he's coming up with things like, even if you go in, you might have to quarantine, and you might have to seek the approval from the foreign ministry for foreigners to go in, right? So he was actually being very adamant. There was definitely something that was happening that prevented us from going in as foreigners, but we can understand it, right? There has to be something going on.
Yeah.
I got turned away from a hotel in Guangdong a few days ago, 2 weeks ago now, because I'm a foreigner. I mean, this is not just Xinjiang; it's COVID related too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But having
We
to add to that, right? Being COVID related is one thing, but
Mm.
having everybody ask us if we're Americans is quite another thing.
Yeah, I said that last night. And like everywhere we went, right? The first sentence, the first things that they utter out of their mouth, like, "Are you American?" I'm like,
是美
"I'm
国人吗？
American."
Yeah,
Right,
they
should
should
make-
make Oren. But you
Um,
don't you hear
and
that?
I don't
Don't you hear that
know.
in Shenzhen and Dongguan? I get that in Zhongshan almost every day.
You know what I
Are you
get in
American?
Dongguan? If I'm
Well,
Xinjiang, if I'm from Xinjiang,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
I get
And
that
when
a
you go to
lot.
Xinjiang, you are not in you're not Uyghur. So
Yeah, we can tell you're not one of us.
Yeah, the guy I cycled with, actually, the first trip I went in 2014 was Irish, and he has, a lot of Irish have that kind of Spanish look about them, and I think it does come from a history of the Spanish Armada and the Irish government working together 400 years ago, 500 years ago, and he has this kind of Spanish Hispanic look about him. He's got curly black hair and grows a beard very quickly. And he was wandering around Xinjiang, and people were asking him where he was from in Uyghur language, and we didn't understand, so they reverted to Mandarin. He doesn't speak a word of Mandarin, so I'm having to translate badly to say they're asking where you come from, and he said from Ireland. Oh, they thought you were from Hotan or Kashgar or something. So yeah, it does happen.
All right, let's go to another comment. The Quantum Alchemist says, also, come on, if there were genocide, why is Uyghur language, food, and culture literally everywhere? One really doesn't have to be an Einstein here.
Yes.
Adrian Sands has gone from genocide to cultural genocide to all kinds
Forced
of
labor and sterilization. He's gone through the full gamut. He's just checking boxes.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, the culture is very much, oh man, I just edited this morning the bit with the music performance. You guys are gonna love that.
mm.
This elder people playing traditional just jamming, Jerry. It was not a performance. They're just like enjoying themselves and picking on each other's tunes. That was so much fun. It was really, really cool. Okay.
Fun.
Mario is asking,
Yeah.
okay,
Where are the refugee camps?
yes, people will be fleeing, right?
That border is
Exactly.
huge. Outside of Kashgar going into Afghanistan, I don't think many people would be fleeing as refugees in that direction. And I'll be honest, I think if people were going to flee out of Xinjiang, they would be fleeing north into Mongolia.
But yeah, you don't see that happen. One
No.
thing that I posted on Twitter and that a lot of people commented about was that Uyghur taxi driver, remember, who had a picture of Xi Jinping on his
Yeah,
neck.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I said, like, why would a Uyghur? His Mandarin was really bad, so he was Uyghur, right? And I was wondering, why would a person do this? I mean, a Han person will be more inclined if you would want to think that, but this guy was a Uyghur guy.
Maybe it wasn't his taxi.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know.
No, seriously, people own taxis, and then you get drivers doing. It may not have been his taxi. A driver
Alright.
may have been
Valid-
hired to
valid
drive the
rebuttal.
taxi.
Yeah,
Objection
could have been.
sustained.
I'm just a suggestion. It's not an objection.
All right, we got a question from Arthur
Mixed couples.
Larson. Arthur, mixed couples.
No, I didn't really see like a Han and Uyghur. No, I didn't really see. No,
I saw-
didn't see.
I saw one other foreigner in Kashgar, in the old city, the ancient city.
Right on the
He
road,
was on
right?
a tour. He was on a tour.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so
I have an
that's not
American
counted.
friend in Zhongshan who's married to a girl from Xinjiang, but she's not Uyghur. So I think by Arthur's question probably means Han and Uyghur rather than
Yes,
Western
yes.
and Uyghur, or foreign and
Yes.
Uyghur, or foreign and. I mean, there are mixed couples all over China. I'm one. Fernando's one. Noel, I don't think you're married, are you? But mixed couples are all over China. But I think the question relates to Han and Uyghur. And to be quite honest, I can't say that I noticed that. It may be there, but it may not be there. I didn't know.
Dot underscore is asking, I have a question. Does Uyghur mean Muslim as a whole, or does it mean a group of
No,
Muslims from a particular part of China?
no.
Is
It's a
Muslim
really,
minority.
really interesting point that not all Uyghurs are Muslim and not all Muslims are Uyghur. There are several other Tajiks are often Muslim, and Hui are Muslim. Hui actually means Muslim. So there are a lot of other types of Muslim inside of China, but definitely not all Uyghurs are Muslim. And Uyghur is a Turkic group of people who migrated into that part of China over the 2000 millennia, over the millennia.
I want to make a comment that I made in one of my videos that is going to be coming up next, but I think it's important to make it here now that we have almost 260 people watching. Thank you guys for joining.
That's great.
The like button. Look, I think that one of the biggest issues that I have with the narrative of the West is that they are trying to say that Beijing is oppressing the Uyghur minority. Here's the thing: Beijing is going after terrorists, and not all Uyghurs are terrorists, and not all the terrorists are Uyghurs, and in fact, not all the terrorists are Chinese. Crossing these borders, there are terrorists from other countries as well. So this trying to conflate what Beijing is trying to do to control an issue with terrorism and make it look as if this is what they're doing to the Uyghur minority. That is the biggest issue in terms of communication that hasn't been ratified or clarified well enough by people like us. I don't remember seeing anybody talking about this. They're going after the terrorists as they should. Some of them are Uyghur, some of them are not. Some of them are Chinese, some of them are not. And what, they shouldn't? That's a question that I ask.
Of course they should. I've just had my bubble shattered. Apparently, Dilraba is married. She's Uyghur and she's married to a Han Chinese. Grey Fox just told me that. Thank you, Grey Fox. I don't know why my comments don't work, so I can't say hi back to all the people. So hi to all the people who said hi to me earlier on. But Grey Fox just told me this, just mentioned this. Wu Lei, I think was what he said, is married to Dilraba. So there's a Han Uyghur celebrity couple.
Okay. How long did you stay in Xinjiang? Noel, you explained this. And
4
then Jerry,
days.
you tell your experience.
4 days, 3 nights. We arrived in Urumqi on the first day, and proceeded to Kashgar on that first day's night. Arrived in Kashgar the next morning. Spent the day in Kashgar. The next subsequent morning, we flew to Hotan, and then back to Urumqi on the following day. So that's the 4th day, and back to Xinjiang. Yeah. So 4 days, 3 nights.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
then they're only lovers on screen. They're not lovers in real life. I'm happier now. Thanks, Grey Fox.
Jerry, how long do you reckon you've been in Xinjiang in both your trips altogether?
Actually, several trips, but let's take the last 2 on bikes. I got queried on this the other day, somebody calling me a liar because I said I cycled into Xinjiang, and on another occasion I said I bought a ticket and flew there. So they misunderstood what was happening. I went to Xinjiang in 2014 on a bike ride from the border of Macau to the border of Kazakhstan, which took me through Xinjiang on a bicycle. And that was probably 25 days in Xinjiang in total, most of it riding bikes. 2019, my wife, a friend, and I flew to Urumqi. We spent 3 or 4 days in Urumqi waiting for our bikes to arrive, and then we cycled out, but only from Urumqi to the border of Gansu, which was about a 2-week bike ride, maybe 16 days, something like that. So just basically, my time in Xinjiang it's probably about 45 days in total, but the last 2 trips, stopping at very, very small towns and villages on the way in and out of the province and crossing the province on a bike.
Let me just
All
type
right, there's a
something here,
question
asking people to ask more questions.
from Ziv.
Hmm. He's saying, would you go back with more? Oh, yes.
Yes.
I mean, I knew from the get go that I knew from the get go, and I told Noel as well when he asked if he could join us. I said, like, look, I'm going there to shoot videos that I could shoot here in my studio, but I just wanted to do it there to send a message that you can go there and do this, that you can travel freely into Xinjiang, that you don't need a special permit, that COVID meant certain limitations but not absolute restrictions. Um, that all this information that was coming from left and right was not true, and I think that that's what I proved. We proved, not just me. And would I love to go back? Man, I would love to go back with more time, to see more of the beautiful places that I know exist that I didn't go, and to see more of the things that to talk to the people that we couldn't talk to. Let me explain. Um, when you start talking to people, people are very apprehensive. People are very apprehensive of foreigners. And if I can go back and you have more time to build at least a little bit of a relationship or some confidence between the two parties, probably people will open up and talk to you a little bit more. I don't know how you feel. Well, Noel, you're very good at talking to people.
How many Xinjiang people's WeChat did you get, Fernando?
None.
I got
Michael the
5.
Cubs.
Yeah, I was actually I mean, I was again. You mentioned about being low key. You mentioned about just don't get too much attention. But as I was just going about my normal routine, for example, that first time when I actually interacted with somebody on the ground was when you were filming on the bed outside. Let's
Yeah.
not get any ideas, right? So I was actually looking for the coffee for us, and from going to the coffee shop, getting the coffee from the lady, I sort of got into a conversation with her, and I actually asked her, "So, do you mind if I actually record this conversation?" And she said, "Okay." So I recorded the bit, and I will be sharing it on my video. And also hence I got her on the WeChat. I said I will let's add as friends, and she was okay. We added as WeChat friends. And the next one I did was with a stall owner in the Kashgar ancient city. He makes handicraft stuff, and he has a family who is staying in the ancient city. And I was initially asking him that these bags that he's making would be pretty interesting to one of my friends in Shenzhen. We might like to buy it. So if we can keep on WeChat, you can send me the photographs of your products, and if we like it, I can WeChat you the payment, and you can send it over to me in Shenzhen. So we had a conversation. I said, hey, how about can I also record this conversation that we had about your stuff and how you have a factory and what you're doing? And he said okay. But after we did the recording, and he sort of pulled me aside and say, delete the video. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't want to make him feel like oh no, right? So I gave him my phone, and he went through my phone, and he deleted the video. And he was smart enough to go to the trash to delete it again. But
From the deleted files.
yeah, but because he didn't know English, he actually chose recover, and I got the video intact. So, but I'll consider whether to put it onto my YouTube, because since he was apprehensive of not showing that, then I might consider. But yeah, so
It's a matter of respect.
yeah, so yeah, and I was taking pictures of other local people who were having basically the food stall owners. I was taking pictures, and then I said, "Hey, can I add your WeChat?" And I'll send you the pictures, and I did that on a couple of occasions. So all in all, I had about 5 people on WeChat that is currently in my contacts list. Yeah.
Good
Let
for
me
you.
bring this one in 1 second. Johan Brower, sorry. For the whole panel, does it look like the power structure, police, etc., are Han and the subjects are weaker, or is it more even?
It's more
But
even.
I think I said it earlier, probably, but you were busy with some children, John. um, there's probably more weaker. There's probably more weaker, definitely. That's
I
what
think the
that's
people
what I
that we see when we're particularly in Urobuchi, or in any of the places that you go to, the people that you see are more Uyghur. I often wonder this. This is a good question from Johan, actually, because I often wonder if we go to the back of the scenes. We went into one police station, my first ride up there with just the two of us, and we spent 3 hours in the police station, not because there was any trouble or anything, but simply because they were trying to help us to find a hotel in the town. And the town had been through some serious problems just 1 year before. It's the town of Shanshan. And if you Wikipedia the town of Shanshan, Shanshan, you'll find in 2013, 30 people died, 16 of them were police officers. So we went in there, and all of the police officers were Uyghur people. They were all Uyghur. They didn't speak Chinese. We were trying to get some help from them, and they said, just come and have a sit down. And the reason we were waiting is they were trying to find a translator for us, because Phil got onto his wife, and his wife talked to a couple of them and couldn't understand a word. She's Chinese, and she couldn't understand a word of what they were saying. So we just gave it away. After 3 hours, we left there and found a hotel eventually anyway. But I always wonder whether the senior officers might be Han. And that's why I think this is a good question, because what we see on the street, the working guys, are mostly Uyghur. The taxi drivers, the street cleaners, the street sweepers, the police officers, pretty much everybody you see. But I'm wondering if there may be a different power structure, and behind the scenes there might be more Han. I don't know if this is true. Just a thought that this question kind of brings up to me.
All
And
right, Johan.
I want to go back.
very much
Can I
for the
just go
super
back to
chat.
one question a little while ago? Did we film
Sure.
mosques in Xinjiang, or would we film mosques next time? From the Quantum Alchemist, because it's a really good question. My wife and I walked through this back street, and we found the most beautiful mosque. It was so ornate. It was beautiful. She got her camera out to take a picture, and a guy came running across and said, no, don't take pictures of the mosque. Okay, we didn't. And it was a sign of respect, I think, from our perspective, because I could have gone back there with my GoPro or the not the GoPro, the Osmo Pocket. I could have gone back there, and he wouldn't have even known that was a camera. I could have got a couple of pictures, but he'd asked us not to. So out of respect, we didn't. And I think filming mosques is a particular problem, unless you have the question. If you've asked the question and got the permission, I think it would be okay. But just going to film a mosque and people coming and going is a little bit disrespectful. I wouldn't go to a Christian church and film just to prove that churches are open, unless I had the consent of the congregation. I think that's fair.
True.
Agree.
Gentlemen,
Agree.
I want to bring in another guest from the WuMao Show group, Mr. Walkabout Rojo.
Oh,
Hey, hello, my friends.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Paul.
Good
Hey.
evening, sir. How are you?
Yeah,
It's great to
Ziv,
see
Ziv
you,
told
man.
me you need an American on the show tonight. So, but
especially a
Ameri-
red-headed
American.
American.
yeah, okay, hold on, let me fix my camera a little bit here. You guys, yeah, all right.
Hey, Talk by Lamb. Thank you very much for the super chat. Okay, let's go.
So, okay, Fernando, first of all, Caliber Wings, it's a pleasure to be with you, brother. First time, so
Hey, Paul.
awesome. Jerry, I've been following your travels out there on the road. It looks like another epic trick, buddy. It really does. Some amazing
lot of fun.
experiences, man. Yeah, I'm glad. And Fernando, I caught your show last night, your live stream.
Mhm.
And it was wonderful. The stories that you were telling about it was just so matter of fact, and this happened and that happened. It wasn't scrubbed in any way, and it kind of got me thinking. You also talked a little bit about people were saying, "Are you American? Are you American? Are you American?" And it got me thinking, okay, I'm an American, and
Yeah.
Xinjiang is a place that I want to go to very, very badly because it's supposed to be absolutely gorgeous. And I have been on the other side of the border, Jerry. I've been to Kazakhstan, to Almaty, and I've been to Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. I've been on the border with Xinjiang on the other side of China. And so I'm familiar with the region and some of the customs out there. And it's just a place that I've always wanted to return, but I'd love to see it on the Chinese side. If I, as an American, were to go there similar to the way you guys went there, would I run into any issues? Because you mentioned it a little bit, and I'm curious how my experience might differ.
Look, I cannot answer that question for you, but they will ask you, "Are you American?" and you'll say yes.
Of course.
Like,
I mean, the question goes a little bit back, Paul. The question is, why are they asking me if I'm American?
Well, I know why.
What do you think they're asking me?
Of
if I'm
course. Well, I don't know, because you're a white dude.
because of the situation.
Seriously, right? I mean, come on, right? You're a foreigner, and so they're qualifying you in some way.
So, Paul, you and I live in the same city, and I've
Yeah.
had this question asked of me many times. Have you had that question asked of you? It seems to be very common.
It's
I
very
get
common
into
to
a
ask
taxi
me
and
where
the
I'm
guy
from.
says, well, not
Yeah.
necessarily. They first of all say, "Are you American?" You say, "No, I'm not an American." Or, "Where are you from?" But I think it's because they expect most foreigners to be Americans. I don't
There
think
is that. I do think that's true. Yeah, Jerry. But I actually don't
I
get
don't
that.
think anyone's.
I don't get, "Are you American?" I get, "Where are you from?" And then I
Yeah.
always tell them, "Okay, you guess." And they always say, they always ask, American, English, or Australian. Those are the three that I get, obviously. So.
Yeah.
Haley's asking a question. Where are the different opinions on the panel? Right here, just entered.
Yeah. Thanks
Well,
for coming.
I'm an American, but listen, look, I think that this is a hot topic, and I applaud you guys both going there on your own and trying to experience it on your own, not part of a group, not part of a tour group. And I think there's an authenticity to that I think is so important for the world to see. And as an American on my channel, I haven't talked about any of this stuff, but I think that's got to change because I can't stay silent on this stuff anymore. It's really hard to be an American and watch all of this go down and not share. I don't want to share my thoughts or opinions on it. That's not my place. But my feelings on it is something that I need to share as an American living in China. So I want to do that in future videos. But I just wanted to come on, ask these questions. If I were to go to China, how do you think, or to Xinjiang, excuse me, how would I be treated any differently? And I thought it was kind of interesting because it is such a hot topic, especially America versus China right now.
Look, I would have to say that the North is kind of like, imagine Shenzhen a few years back. Modernizing, nice malls, coffee shops, nice cars. That's Shenzhen. That's Urumqi. When you go down to the south, to the border, when you go to Kashgar, when you go to Hotan, the cities are a lot less developed. And the balance of population is different. There's a lot more Han in the north than there are in the south. So there's a lot more Uyghur in the south. I don't know, Noel, you help me out here. We were getting asked, "Are you American?" by Uyghur people or by Han people? I don't remember. I mean,
Well,
I
we
would say Uyghur people.
We were asked by whoever was actually
Interacting with
checking our
us.
passport. Checking our
At the
passport.
restaurant too. At the restaurant when you had your noodles, remember? After the bazaar.
Well, they didn't ask if I was American in the restaurant.
me.
No. Oh, you?
At the restaurant,
Okay.
they asked me if I was American.
Okay.
So I think that you'd probably be asked more in the south.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine answering the question. I mean, as Jerry said, we get it all the time, even here in Zhongshan. And I'm a proud American. I'm not going to shy away from it. But there was something you mentioned, like a taxi cab guy asked you, right? And then he wouldn't give you a ride. Was that the right story, Fernando?
No.
Well,
Right?
he
No.
didn't ask us. He didn't ask. He actually didn't say anything. He saw us as foreigners,
Yes,
It just says foreigners. Oh, okay.
and he
Yeah,
decided
okay.
not to take us. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm sure they'll, I mean, whether I'm from England or Australia, I think they'd probably treat me the same as they would any other foreigner, right? It's just, be pleasant and be polite and show your paperwork. And here I am. And on your way you go, right?
I think that people are people. You know what I mean? People are
Yeah.
people. When they're face to face with a person, they don't connect that to anything behind that. It's just this person that is sitting right here in front.
That's
of them.
true.
Now, they were very wary of us not being American, not being Americans. Would they be more wary or less wary or as weird as they were with you? I don't have a way to answer that question. But the interesting thing is the fact that they were asking that question. They were not asking, where are you from? As you mentioned, that we normally get asked here. They were asking that specific question, and that they were like, stayed here. Like, that's interesting.
Well, I've got
Yeah.
lots of experience traveling in other parts of the world where Americans are not, they're not known to be welcome. And I find that you smile and you have a conversation, they smile right back, and they realize that you're just another person. So okay, that's you answered my question, I guess. Yeah.
I guess we only know the answer if Paul makes a trip to Xinjiang tomorrow.
I want to go.
So-
I really do, man. It's just I have classes to teach, man. I'm a busy guy.
So do
Stop
I,
the
so do
excuses.
I. Let's talk more doing.
All
Hey,
right.
Joan Brower, another super chat. Are you an American? I get asked that frequently. My answer is almost exclusively no, because I carry a neutral passport as well. Haley, that's your other opinion. Here's Arthur Larson. Are you American? Sorry. Are you American? The next question, how much money do you make? Do you
Yes.
have that, John? Paul, sorry.
Oh yeah. The answer
yeah.
is, you get this from girls too. You go out on a date. So how much money? They're sly about it. They say, so you're a teacher, so you make how much? Or they say, oh, my cousin just got a job and he makes X amount of money, so that's a lot, right? So they're really sly about it, right? And you get that from taxi cab drivers as well. So my answer always to all that thing is, how much money do you make? How big is your house? How nice is your car? You always say it's enough. I make enough.
let me do something, Jerry, if I may. I told you before when we were preparing this chat that I would like to talk to people who disagree with us. So I see that Haley is in the chat. Haley, why don't you ask us one question? Type it down. Ask us
Haley
one
just
question.
made
By
a
the
good
way-
comment, actually, saying that COVID is not raging in Australia and New Zealand. So maybe they are a little afraid of COVID. But I don't think it's COVID related. I think the Are You American is just as simple. They want, sometimes ask in English as well. They just curious. They're just curious. That's all it is. I don't think it has anything to do with the politics of it. It's just curiosity.
Is this a troll?
Okay. This is Mr. WWTVW. Yeah, this person. It's
What
always
is it?
serious spot. Your videos from Xinjiang are just useless tourist videos so far. You haven't seen any of my videos. You have seen live streams. So
Does he not understand the dichotomy of his own statement or her own statement at that point? You're a tourist and you're taking videos in a place that person obviously thinks is oppressed with 3 million people in concentration camps. How can tourists do that? So what a ridiculous question.
yeah,
Or
we are
statement. It
able
wasn't
to
a
do it as
question.
tourists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. Haley. Did she look up? Okay, maybe she look up. Guys, do you? I have one question for you guys. What were your expectations going into Xinjiang, and what were you surprised about, Jerry?
Going into Xinjiang, I don't think anything is. I mean, the first time I went there, it's not like China. It is China, but it's not like China. It's more like I haven't spent much time in the Middle East. I've just had fly-throughs to the Middle East, but it's more like a Middle Eastern country than a Chinese country. That's probably what surprised me the most going there. What surprised me the most on our last trip was the level of security. As I've said many, many times, it's a pain in the butt. It really is. It's fair, it's firm, it affects everybody. But gosh, it's like somebody asked the question earlier on, I think it was Jake Jones, said, have you been to Palestine? The answer is no, but I imagine it's very much like Xinjiang.
It really, I mean, we were there 4 days and it starts to get on your nerves. You know what I mean? Like,
it does. Yeah.
Again. But it's harder for us because it takes longer. But even
Correct.
so, when we went through any checkpoint with the driver, right? The driver stays in the car. We have to get out of the car at every single checkpoint. So it's quite annoying, and I can't imagine what it will be like to live like that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm. And Siv's corrected me. It's not like Palestine at all. So, just my imagination. Thanks, Siv.
Okay.
With respect.
Make videos of the places that were what? Make videos of the places that were named as concentration camps.
CGTN have already
Stop
done
calling
that.
them concentration camps. They're not concentration camps, you imbecile. They're prisons. They're prisons.
They're not.
Maximum security prisons where terrorists are going.
There's some of them are chicken
Get it
farms.
through your head.
That's the teacher speaking.
Yeah, who'd want to be in his class? Johan says he doesn't want to get into hostile situations. I used to know an American here in Zhongshan when a few years ago. He's no longer in China, but I used to know this guy, an American, who used to have a backpack with a Canadian maple leaf on it, just in case anyone asked him. He said, "No, I'm Canadian." That was 10, 12 years ago. He was ashamed of being American, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago, that was a standard response when you were in certain countries walking around in your civilian clothes. But nowadays, it's no, I'm American. I'm a proud American. I'm a good American. What's your name? How are you?
Yeah.
This question, can you tell us something that impressed you the most? You go first, Noel.
Okay. Please do not take this any wrong way. I'm most impressed by the children. When I see the children, they are so lively. They are, I mean, and that's the future of Xinjiang, right? Whether it's in Kashgar or Hotan that we saw, and it's the future, right? They are going to be living in this place, and I doubt that many of them would be like venturing out. They will still be, building their futures in Xinjiang. That's my personal feel, and I think that is what impressed me, because I see beauty. The children just resonate so much beauty and future and hope to me. That is what I saw. Yeah.
Jerry, and then I'll answer last.
First of all, Rio Joe, yes, I'm aware that the security is necessary. I just don't like it. It doesn't mean it's not necessary. I'm very aware of that. The thing that most impressed me, I would say, is the landscape. When you're coming out of Urumqi, you see snow-capped mountains, and then you head south and you're heading towards the east, and you're getting into the Taklamakan Desert, and then you go through a little further through the Flaming Mountains. I mean, it is the most incredible landscape that I have ever been to, and it's constantly changing. Now, the Taklamakan is huge. Don't get me wrong; it's not constantly changing. It's when we cycled through there, it's 3 or 4 days of just desert sands. It's really stark, but then you come out of it, and you're into a totally different environment. There's so much landscape. It's just it's incredible. It's impossible to describe how changing and how awesome, majestic, whatever those words are. The place is just incredibly beautiful. That's what impressed me the most. Out in the northwest, you've got the Ili Plains, you've got the lavender fields, which unfortunately I haven't seen because of the timing of my trips. But you've got these massive, great big grasslands. Then you've got the massive deserts. Then you've got the flaming mountains, the Tarim Basin. It's really incredible. That's it.
I would have to say that that's also something that impressed me the most. I mean, um, mankind has been able to um, develop because we've been able to control and tame our environment and turn it to our advantage. But in a place like Xinjiang, where it's you see so much barren land, you see so much rough terrain, um, and to see these large cities having I mean, the first question that I asked myself, drinking water. I mean, where do they get drinking water? And as we started landing, we see some reservoirs and whatnot. But
There
still,
are the towns in the south are oasis towns. That's why they're there. And in the north, they have underground irrigation systems, which are thousands of years old in some parts. Around Turpan, you find it's in the desert, and you find they're growing grapes there. And they have underground irrigation systems. It's amazing.
so this
The
this
government.
contrast of sorry, this contrast of greenery and crops and all these things in the middle of this arid land,
Yeah.
it's that's what's really it struck something interesting how they've been able to develop over there. Um, that's basically what impressed me the
Yeah.
most. The contrast between green and desert, basically.
Yeah, can I add something? When I was talking to the barista, the lady in the coffee shop, she mentioned to me that only like 10 years ago did they get the drinking water. So that is one of the improvements that she mentioned. Yeah.
Oh, and this brings us back or circle back to something that I want to bring Barrett's question right here. Lee, or I suppose it's Lee. How are you? The answer to this is yes. I mean, from because we traveled on the second, and this came out on the second, and we were like, we gotta watch it, but we were so tired, we gotta watch it, we gotta
Yeah.
watch it. I actually ended up watching it on the way back from the airport in Shenzhen to Dongguan. We didn't have time to watch it, but I've already watched it, and oof, that's a big one. The Two Face, the part when they talk about the. Have you guys watched it? Sorry, the new
No.
The 55-minute one?
Yeah.
Not
Paul,
yet.
have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Very interesting. There's one part when they talk about the Two Faces, and these were high-ranking officials who were in fact separatists, who were um, trying to separate Xinjiang from China, but they were promoted. But deep inside, they were finding ways to finance and to mobilize rebels. You know what I mean? Um, that bit was like
Undercover operatives.
Oh yeah, I heard about this one. Yeah.
that was really interesting.
They've
I
just
recommend it
sentenced
to
them,
anybody
haven't
who
they?
wants to understand. I recommend it to anybody who wants to understand what this region has gone through, and in a way, I don't agree with everything that the government is doing over there. I don't. But I can understand. I can understand that you gotta sacrifice something in order to get something else. Think about the Patriot Act in America, right? You had to sacrifice some of your privacy in order to get safety. Everybody has a TSA, right? Imagine the TSA at every corner. Well, not every corner, but imagine TSA to go into a shopping mall. Imagine TSA to do you know what I'm saying? Um, to get safety in the last 4 years, they haven't seen a single terrorist act when there were 20, 16, 13. Every year there were situations. So that's a big achievement. And um, they've done it their way. You know what I mean? They've done it their way. Another interesting thing about this particular project that they've done is that they're coming full circle. And when people are coming out of this rehabilitation, which is in fact rehabilitation, um, they're being offered jobs. They're saying, oh, you can go work here. There's this industry, there's this company, there's this. So they're preparing them to actually reinsert themselves into society as fully productive members of society. That's the true meaning of rehabilitation. Uh, but then it's attacked left and right. Um, okay, are there any other questions, or do you guys want to comment on what I was saying?
I'll comment on it. I mean, the Patriot Act is still a pretty controversial thing, but you have a point. It's something that Westerners really need to understand about this part of the world, not just China, but this whole region of the world and how they do things. It is their way, and we have our way. And I think too often, especially Americans, will try to look at this region through their lens, through their eyes, without actually coming here. It's the height of armchair criticism, and I've been very, very tired of it because I cannot personally comment on Xinjiang because I have never been there. Neither have all these other people. And you guys were talking about some people looking at your phones and deleting some of the film and everything. I think that in the past, especially the past few years, that region has been tainted by Western media. And I hate using that term. I really do. But it has been tainted. And now they're just worried because they go in there with a bias and they're going to be looking for problems because that's what sells to a Western audience is the problems. They're not looking to show it objectively. And there was a comment recently. Someone said, if Americans are proud of choosing their government, what does that say? Yes, we are very proud of choosing our government. It is our way. But that doesn't necessarily mean we agree with everything our government does. The Patriot Act is one of the things that I disagree with my government. But that's what democracy is. It's a little messy, but it is our way, and we wouldn't change it for anything. But democracy can only flourish with an informed citizenry. And this is where our media has failed us. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that if you look at media in the West, it's very polarized and people get tribalized into which side they're going to take. And unfortunately, we are misinformed about not only our country, but the world. And this is a perfect example of what's going on here in the last few weeks, is this misinformation. It's our media failing us. And that's my personal opinion on that.
Sorry, guys.
I don't think it's polarized.
Sorry, guys. I had to apologize to Johan, because I thought that I was blocking somebody else, but apparently it didn't click to him. But I can't unblock it now from my side. I'm so sorry. So sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to comment on what Paul said there. The polarization. It's not about picking a side anymore in Western media. There is only one side. It's about how far down that side you go. It's unipolar. It is only one pole. It seems that every single media outlet that has got any sort of coverage is anti-China, anti-Xinjiang, and pro the American narrative. Now there are exceptions.
That's virtue signaling, is what that is. It's part of our culture to do virtual signaling, and I think that's what it's stemming from. Because media they're lazy. They're lazy. All media is lazy.
I guess so. But I think the best sort of media are things like Grey Fox, which seems to have some sort of independence. And then once they have that independence, they can say whatever they want to say. Now, they've still got to make money. So what is truly independent media? Does it really exist? But the fact is, it's no longer polarized. In American politics, there is no left and right. There is only right and more right. That's the way I see it.
I disagree with that 100%. Yeah. In American politics, but in foreign
American
politics,
media politics.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep it at that. But yeah, it's American media is the point that I'm making. It's not polarized. It's unipolar right now.
Guys,
everyone is against China.
I wanted to get back to the journey. Binta China is asking, you've mentioned there was never any call to prayer. Yeah, I didn't hear any. Jerry, in your time over there, do you remember hearing call to prayer?
I don't, to be quite honest. I do. I don't remember hearing call to prayer in Xinjiang, Gansu, Ningxia, or in Shanxi, all of which have fairly large Muslim populations. I think the call to prayer is just not a Chinese practice. That doesn't mean they don't pray. It just means they don't have a call to prayer. I can't remember. You lived in Xi'an as well. I've never lived in Xi'an, but I've spent a lot of time there. I don't remember hearing it. And I stayed in the Muslim Quarter. I stayed in a hotel just 5 minutes walk from the Grand Mosque. I can't remember hearing it.
I do remember hearing it in Xi'an, but that's in the year
Okay.
2000. That's 21
Okay.
years ago.
2004 was
but
the
I was
first time
there.
I went there.
But I was there for only like 2 months. Then I came down south. But yeah, that was something that I picked up. Hey, that's interesting.
Does it have to do with it being a secular state?
Perhaps.
Don't know.
Perhaps.
Don't know.
Or. But the interesting thing is that we actually didn't. We saw. Remember, I told you we saw a man praying when he was eating. Remember the Yang Rochuan place?
Yeah.
He started doing his
In
prayer
Wuhan.
before actually eating his food. I was like, okay.
Like saying grace.
Obviously, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't going to record it, but I was like, I want to tell people about this. Yeah. So yeah,
I remember seeing something very strange once in the fields west of Xinjiang. There was a lot of workers in the field, cotton field workers. I don't know whether they were forced to be there or not. It didn't look like it, but they had stopped to pray, and all of them were on prayer mats, and all of them were praying, and it was just kind of strange to ride past this field and see all these people going down in a field. And so it made me kind of think, well, hang on, there's something not right about this narrative. But at the time, there was no thought about that narrative in my head. It's just later on it came to me.
I didn't think about going into mosque. Somebody asked this earlier because I thought, again, being a foreigner with a camera, what are you doing here? Why do you? The fact that I would have to go into very lengthy explanations as to what I wanted to do deterred me from actually trying. But if I were to go back, and I know that there's a buzz around Xinjiang and people want to go back, if there's a chance for me to go back, I would love to go back and get access to those places that I didn't even attempt to go because of the circumstances that I was in. But I would definitely like to go back.
Sorry, Fernando. I think Paul wants to.
I just want to say, guys, I got to take off. I thank you for letting me join you. I've never been to Xinjiang, but I really enjoyed asking these questions and being part of the show. Jerry, good luck on your trip, man. I'm still following you. And you guys, welcome back. I was supposed to go to Dongguan this week, but unfortunately they changed my lecture schedule. So I have some. I know you're gonna miss me, brother. So I can't come out and see you. But thank you all for letting me join, and I wish you all the best. Okay, bye, guys.
All right, man.
See you, Paul.
Have a good one.
Bye, Paul. Yeah.
All right. So do we have any other questions, or because we're going on to almost 1:45?
Yeah, it's nearly 2 hours now.
I was asking. I want to address Haley's question. I saw it somewhere over here. Haley, did you ask a question?
I don't see.
When were? No. Okay. Well, she's one of the people that's on the other side that I wanted to talk to. Because she, I did the Guilao thing, which basically I put everybody out of the penalty box, and now everybody's loose commenting and whatnot. So I'm trying to let everybody speak, and that's the idea, to be able to engage and change minds. Guys, any final thoughts? Jerry, what's your day like tomorrow? What are you doing?
Tomorrow, as Paul just mentioned, he's following my bike ride. I'm currently with my wife on another bike ride. We're traveling through southern China, and we're in Yangshaw. This is our hotel room. This rather strange looking decoration behind me. We're heading to Guilin tomorrow to meet up with China Bazaar. Barry from China Bazaar and I will be doing a live stream on the weekend sometime. Time to be advised. So we've got a 70-kilometer bike ride tomorrow, and we'll be in Guilin sometime mid-afternoon, I hope.
Nice, nice, nice.
Mm.
Noel, what's up with you?
Yeah, I think I first of all got to apologize to Johann Bauer again. I screwed up. I clicked on the wrong thing. It was supposed to be somebody else that I blocked, but I got to figure out how to get Johann back. So Johann, if you're listening, apologies. I will fix it. Apologies.
What happens is that when there's a new comment, it moves up, and then you click the button.
So
yeah, I'll fix it.
All right. Okay. Yeah, Johann Bauer.
So
sorry about that. Yeah.
What are you up to this next week?
For me, I gotta be working on those Xinjiang videos, 30 gigabytes of footage, and I plan to split it into 3 parts: one for Urumqi, one for Kashgar, and one for Hotan. And we're looking forward to Xinjiang's TV's interview of us. Hopefully that's get done soon, and then we'll get the footage and we can share that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, mine is going to be 3 videos: one about genocide, one about forced labor, and one about religious oppression. So religious oppression, and then there's going to be something else to fill out the cultural side. But those are the videos that I'm going to be addressing with a lot of data and a lot of information that I want to share with people. Again, to give a different perspective to the people that watch my show. Okay, guys, that's all we have today.
Great to be part of this. Thank you very much.
No, Jerry,
thank you, Jerry,
so very much. And everybody in the WuMao team, thank you so much for pushing forward all the time. Remind you guys that if you want to support the WuMao Show, you can scan the QR code if you're here in China, or you can click the link in the description down below and buy me a cup of coffee. Everybody who participated with super chats and questions, thank you so much. You guys make this show as vibrant as it was. So thank you. And guys, that's it for today. And until we see you next Wednesday, stay safe and take it easy. Bye for now.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.